Hello everyone, welcome back to SimCare AI. I'm Tim, and today we're going to be talking to another one of our patients, so let's get right into it. So we're going to head over to simcare.ai, get started now, and today we're going to be talking to Richard. So search for Richard. So yeah, for your best experience, recommend find a quiet space to speak freely with the AI client for a more natural conversation flow. Here's a quick demo of this space that we are in right now. Perfect for SimCare AI conversations. Alrighty. Enable the video, and yes. Alright, so Richard is 46-year-old and a male, and yep, 46-year-old project lead, referred therapy after a workplace incident involving alcohol. Though outwardly composed and high-performing, Richard presents with simmering resentment, mounting stress, and a rigid belief that others are the problem, not him. He doesn't identify his drinking as an issue, yet describes a life of mounting pressure, strained family ties, and emotional isolation. Therapy begins with resistance, but beneath his defensiveness, the cracks are showing. Alright, so it looks like we have your classic alcoholic case, and for substance abuse disorders, the best use is to use motivational interviewing. So that is what we are going to use today. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Oh yeah. Speaker test. Good. Mic test. Alright, looks like we're good. So, yeah. Let's jump into it. Alright. So it looks like Richard is now ready. So whenever we press unmute, we'll be able to start the conversation with Richard. So yep. Hey Richard, how's it going?
I'm all right, I guess.
So what brings you into my office today?
Just wanted to see if you had a minute to talk. Something's been on my mind.
What's been on your mind lately?
It's about work. I'm not sure I'm fitting in here.
Why don't you think you're fitting in?
It's hard to explain. I just feel like I'm not connecting with my colleagues and maybe not understanding the work as well as I should.
I see. Can you tell me more about like instances where like you're not really like connecting with colleagues, or and how that kind of like affects you?
Well, sometimes in meetings, people use jargon I don't understand, and I feel like I can't ask for clarification because I should already know it. And socially, I don't really know how to join in the conversations. It makes me feel isolated and like I'm not contributing.
I see. Yeah, those are very normal workplace concerns. Yeah. What do you wish to increase like your social presence and your own workforce experience, right?
Yes, definitely. I want to feel like I'm part of the team and that I'm doing good work. It's just daunting to figure out how.
I see. Do you have any ideas on how you could do that?
I've thought about maybe asking a colleague I trust if they'd be willing to mentor me or at least explain some of the jargon. But I'm afraid of looking incompetent. And I've also considered trying to find some common ground with people outside of work topics, but I'm not sure how to initiate those conversations naturally.
Yeah, taking the first step is definitely challenging, but yeah, we all have to.
Difficult?
Yeah, difficult, but we all gotta start somewhere, right? Small steps.
Exactly. Small steps, maybe focusing on understanding the jargon first would be a good start. It feels more concrete than trying to become a social butterfly overnight.
Exactly, and I think a really good small action step to take would be to reach out to one of your trusted colleagues to mentor you, right?
Okay, that sounds like a good small step. I guess I'm still hesitant, but maybe if I frame it as just wanting to understand the project better, it won't feel so vulnerable. Do you think that's a good approach?
I think that's a great approach, and if you think it's a good approach, then you should do it, right?
Okay, I think I will. It's just I'm nervous about putting myself out there like that, but framing it as a project related question makes it feel a little less scary. Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, no problem. Well, how about you tell me more about what's been stressful lately?
Well, it's mostly what we've already touched on, I guess, the feeling of being an outsider. It's just constant. And, it's like everyone else is speaking a different language, and I'm just nodding along, hoping I don't say the wrong thing. And the project itself, I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up. I just want to be competent and feel like I belong. It's exhausting trying to fake it.
Yeah, those are very tough situations. Especially, it sounds like you've been under a lot of stress lately, right?
Yeah, stressful is definitely the right word for it. It's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of little things piling up. But the feeling of not understanding, the fear of making mistakes, the constant effort to appear like I know what I'm doing, it's draining, and it bleeds into other areas of my life too. I find myself more irritable, less patient, and just generally down.
Yeah, that is. Those are tough situations to deal with. Yeah, I hope it gets better. But how have you been? Usually dealing with all this stress like these days.
Honestly, not very well. I've been isolating myself more, which I know isn't healthy. I've also been eating more junk food and skipping workouts. It's like I'm in a self-destructive cycle. I know I should be doing things to manage the stress, but I just feel so overwhelmed that it's hard to even start. I guess I'm hoping that talking about it here will be a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Do you wanna keep like keep those good habits up of like like keep going to the gym and like eating healthy food and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I know that those things help, and I want to do them. It's just the motivation's gone. It feels like I'm running on empty. I keep thinking I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never seems to come. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, you should. It's definitely hard to to stay consistent, but yeah. But I guess but back to it again, right? Start with those little steps.
Yeah, you're right. Little steps. Maybe instead of thinking about going to the gym for a full hour, I just commit to a 15-minute walk, and instead of a whole healthy meal, I just swap out one sugary snack for a piece of fruit. It sounds less overwhelming when I break it down like that. Thanks.
For sure, for sure. But yeah. So, do you how have you been like? What are like? I guess all this stress is really tough. Have how have you been like? I guess more so like what are your coping mechanisms and how do you like really deal with it? Like what do you do when you get like super stressed, right?
Honestly, my coping mechanisms haven't been great lately. As I mentioned, I've been isolating myself, which is probably the worst thing I can do. Sometimes I watch TV to try and zone out or scroll through social media, but that usually just makes me feel worse. I know I should be doing things like meditating or going for a run, but I just can't seem to get myself to do them when I'm feeling really stressed. It's like my brain just wants to shut down.
I see. Yeah, it's pretty tough. Those habits are good, and it's good that like what needs to be done. It's just kind of like you're looking for the willpower to kind of like make yourself do it, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. I know what I should do, but the willpower just isn't there. It's like there's a wall between me and actually doing it, and the more stressed I get, the higher that wall seems to grow.
I see. Yeah. What do you think will happen when like the wall gets too high?
If the wall gets too high, I honestly don't know. I guess I'm afraid I'll just completely shut down, stop trying altogether, maybe even end up back in a really dark place like I was before. That's why I'm trying to catch it now before it gets to that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you and what have you been doing to try to catch it?
Honestly, not enough. I've been thinking about catching it more than actually doing anything. I know that sounds bad. I guess I've been hoping it would just go away on its own, which of course it hasn't. I did try to schedule a yoga class last week, but then I canceled it. Baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, baby steps. That's what it takes. Yeah. Do you have any what are some other of like these like things you say like are kind of holding you back from making like baby steps forward?
Well, fear of failure is a big one, and the feeling that I should already know how to do things, so asking for help makes me look incompetent. Procrastination, definitely. And honestly, just plain exhaustion. It takes so much energy to even think about making a change.
Yeah, they're all pretty tough. They're big mental hurdles to get through, right?
Yeah, exactly. They feel like mountains sometimes. It's like I know what I should be doing, but actually doing it feels impossible.
How do you plan to like help yourself climb these mountains, or what do you think like holds you back from like climbing these mountains?
I think what holds me back is the overwhelm. It's like I see the whole mountain range and I don't know where to even begin. So I just don't. I get paralyzed.
I see. Yeah, the mountain range. It's like hard to know where to even start, right?
Exactly. So I guess to answer your question about climbing them, I think I need to find a way to break those mountains down into smaller, more manageable hills. Baby steps, maybe. But even thinking about that feels hard sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely can be challenging, but yeah. Do you if I may ask, do you drink?
Um, yeah, I do. Not like all the time, but sometimes after work or on the weekends, it helps me unwind.
I see. Yeah. So kind of like this is kind of something that helps you like helps relieve some of the pressure that like builds up from all this like work, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a temporary escape from the mountain range, but I guess. But I know it's not a real solution
Why don't you think it's a real solution?
because the mountains are still there the next day, aren't they? The work's still there. The pressure's still there. It just kind of postpones dealing with it and maybe even makes it worse in the long run.
I see. Yeah. So it just sounds like you're under so much pressure that there isn't a space for you to relax like without a drink, right?
Yeah, you've pretty much nailed it. It feels like I'm constantly running on fumes, and the only way I know how to refuel is with something quick and easy, even if it's not good for me.
I see. Yeah. And and it also and like I presume that's why you came here, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I need to find better ways to cope before things get even more out of hand.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah. So you've managed to keep things running at work despite all the stress. I will say that's like impressive, right?
Thanks. It's a juggling act, to say the least. Sometimes I feel like I'm just barely holding it all together.
How did why do you think you're like on your last fumes?
Honestly, it feels like everything's been piling up for so long. Work is demanding, personal life is chaotic, and I haven't been taking care of myself. It's like I'm running on adrenaline and caffeine, and eventually that runs out.
Yeah, I feel you. It's a tough situation, but yeah, yeah. Speaking about your personal life though, how's that going?
Complicated. Let's just say there's a lot going on that's adding to the overall stress.
I see. If yeah, I want to remind you this is really space safe. So if you feel comfortable sharing some of these personal stressors, I'd be happy to hear them and help you go through them.
I appreciate that. It's a lot to unpack without getting into too much detail right now. There are some relationship issues and some family stuff that's been bubbling up. It just feels like there's a constant state of tension.
Yeah, it's all this tension just just causes more stress on top of the work stress, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the stress from work and my personal life are feeding off each other, creating this cycle. It's hard to find any breathing room.
Yeah, that's really tough. How do you think you're gonna work through some of the personal struggles?
Honestly, I'm not sure. That's part of what's so overwhelming. I keep thinking about solutions, but actually doing anything feels like climbing a mountain. I even signed up for a yoga class last week and then canceled it. It just felt like too much effort.
Yeah, it is. It is really hard to get the ball rolling. But yeah, I can see that you care a lot about your family though. So I mean, tell me what you want like your family relationships to look like.
Ultimately, I want a sense of peace and connection. I want to be able to enjoy spending time with my family without feeling like I'm walking on eggshells. I want to be able to communicate openly and honestly without fear of judgment or conflict. And I want to feel like we're all supporting each other instead of constantly pulling in different directions.
Yeah, that is really like a heartwarming. Yeah, you just you're a family guy. You're a family man, Rich.
Thanks. It's just harder to be that family man when I'm so stressed and exhausted. I want things to be better for all of us.
Yeah, I that is pretty tough, but I believe that you'll be able to work through this, and I'll be here to support you each step of the way.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
For sure. Well, what do you like about how things are now?
Honestly, not much. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head and food on the table, but beyond that, things feel pretty bleak right now.
Yeah, it makes your the stress just causes like the bleakness in the world to kind of lose color, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like everything's just a dull gray.
Yeah. So you're feeling frustrated that you know, like, well, yeah. So you do well. Let me first ask about like how do others in the workplace and like your family how are they like viewing you right now?
Well, at work, I think they see me as someone who gets things done. I'm always putting out fires, juggling projects. They probably think I'm handling everything fine. My family's small. It's more complicated. Uh, I try to be there, but I'm stretched so thin. I'm probably not the most pleasant person to be around. I suspect they see me as stressed and maybe a bit distant.
I see. So you're feeling frustrated that others think you have like this problem of like being distant or whatever, but you see yourself working so hard and taking on so much, and of course the family tensions are like rising, and you just feel just so isolated. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. It's like I'm wearing a mask for everyone else, pretending I've got it all together, but inside I'm just trying to keep from falling apart. The isolation is the worst part.
Being lonely is definitely one of the worst feelings we feel as social creatures, right? And if I may add, like, yeah, I personally understand how it feels to wear a mask. Like, you kind of have to be like a different person in front of different people, right?
It's exhausting, isn't it? The constant shifting and adapting, and you're right, the loneliness. It's a heavy weight. Thanks for understanding. It helps to just hear someone acknowledge it.
No problem, Rich. Well, what worries you the most about how things are now?
Honestly, I worry that I'm gonna burn out completely. That I'll just snap, and I'm worried about the impact that would have on my family, on my job, and on everything.
Yeah, when getting burned out is definitely like one of the scariest things, because you lose like your like mental state. You're bumped off the track, right? Like the right track is just gone once you snap, right?
Exactly. It's like one domino falls and then everything else just goes down with it. And you're right, that right track, it's even remember what it looks like sometimes. All I see is the mess.
Yeah, there's a big mess, of course, but like, what would make you, even consider like changing anything?
Honestly, if I could just find a way to consistently carve out even 30 minutes a day for myself, that might be enough to start. 30 minutes where I'm not answering emails, not dealing with family drama, not trying to fix someone else's problems, just quiet.
I think it's a great idea, if you think that's really good for you, and that's like something of your own choice, not like something you're forced into like work or like dealing with family stuff, right?
Exactly, something I choose. That's just for me. It feels almost selfish to even think about it, but I know I need it.
That makes sense. Well, I want to let you know that like it's your choice whether anything changes, right? Because no one can make you do anything that you don't want to do.
I appreciate you saying that. It's easy to feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions and that I uh, have to do everything for everyone. Hearing that it's my choice, it's actually a little freeing. Thank you.
Of course, of course. But yeah, everything is your choice, but we all need support, right? And yeah, who comes to mind when you think of like someone that could support you through this whole process?
That's a good question. Honestly, right now, I'm not sure. And I feel like I've been pushing people away lately, even the ones who would normally be my go-to for support. Maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let's let's pick a few specific people who could support you though. This could be part of our action step and small journey.
Okay, if I had to pick maybe my sister Sarah. We've always been close, but I haven't really leaned on her lately. And maybe a colleague at work, Mark. He seems to have a good handle on work-life balance, and I admire that. But I'd be hesitant to really open up to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's yeah, like, it is all really all about that balance. But sometimes like if someone's figured it all out, it seems intimidating, right?
Exactly. It feels like admitting defeat to ask for help from someone who seems to have it all together, but you're right. Reaching out is the action step. Sarah and Mark, I'll keep them in mind. Maybe Sarah first.
I think that's a great idea. And yeah, well, yeah, it's
Sarah first feels less daunting. Thanks for helping me narrow it down. It's easier to think about taking a small step.
for sure, Rich, for sure. Yeah, so it looks like our session is almost wrapping up. I wanna, yeah, I'll say some final words. So like, yeah, I think you're dealing with a lot of stress, and it's just really hard to balance everything, and I know that can be really tough. So I want to let you know that I'm here for you. I think your family's here for you. I know you care a lot about your family, and work gets really stressful at times, but yeah, I know you'll be able to manage it. Once you do your small action steps of reaching out for help, and yeah, and I want to ask you one final question. So, how,
Thanks. I appreciate that. And thanks for listening. Before we wrap up, what's the final question?
yeah, I wanted to just ask you, how would you know if things were getting better?
That's a good question. I guess if I felt like I had more energy at the end of the day, that would be a start. Or if I looked forward to something, anything, instead of just dreading the next task, those would be good signs.
Yeah, those are great signs. Yeah, so as kind of like your homework, I want you to start like keeping track of this. So like maybe in a journal, write down how you're feeling, and like and those things you just mentioned of like your more energy, or like your mindset's changed, like every day, like at the end of the day, whatever. Write down like how much progress you think you made, or how you know much energy slash like anxiety you're feeling at that time. And next week when we meet up again, we can we can talk about like the progress. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. Journaling, I can try that. Thanks.
No problem. All right then. Well, know that I'm always here for you, Rich. So, yep, until next time.
Okay, I will. Thanks for your time. See you next week.
Yeah, see you then.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
All right, so we just finished that call. I think it went pretty well. It probably could have went better. Like, it was really hard for him to bring up speaking about his drinking problems, but it makes sense though. So sometimes you have to use confrontation to get it directly. I think I made good use of motivational interviewing. Like I, asked a lot of open-ended questions and reflected a lot of his statements back to himself. So we made him realize it was like his choice and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I think I did all right. I could have done better, but yeah, let's see what the feedback says when that generates. But yeah, how's everyone's day been? Drop in the comments below, and yeah, let us know what you think of SimCare AI. What's your favorite patient? How well you did with Rich. I know I'm not the best therapist, but yeah, let's see. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I think therapy in general is just such a cool, like, I used to think it was like overrated, but now like I could totally see myself, like, maybe that's not a good sign, but like I totally see myself like needing, or just needing therapy at some point. All right, looks like all right. So now let's look into the feedback. So here are there's 6 boxes, and for in the chat setting there's some starter questions we can do. So yeah, let me see. Let's see what's one thing I could have said differently to build more trust. I think there's a lot of things. Yeah. All right. Based on the transcript, one thing you could have said differently to build more trust was to delve deeper into the client's stated hesitation and fear around reaching out for mentoring. When you affirmed the idea of reaching out to a trusted colleague as a really good small action step, the client immediately responded with, okay, that sounds like a good small step. I guess I'm still hesitant and express fear of looking incompetent. Instead of moving towards endorsing their idea to reframe the request, you could have paused and reflected on their stated hesitation and fear first. Yeah, it's really important to validate client feelings. I should have done that. For example, you could have said something like, it sounds like the idea of reaching out feels like a good step, and you mentioned feeling hesitant, maybe even afraid of looking incompetent. Can you tell me more about what that feels like? Ooh, asking them what it feels like. This approach would have prioritized exploring their internal barrier to fear before focusing on the action step, showing deeper attunement to their vulnerability and potentially building more trust by fully acknowledging the difficulty they were expressing. Sounds good. Let's chat and ask another quick question. What's a quick question? What's a good question? I should have asked. Yo, I can promise I can type, bro. Alright. Okay, so explore the client's personal life stressors. So yeah, I offer a safe space. The client only briefly touched on relationship issues and some family stuff before you validated the tension and moved to a question as to how we work with it. A question like, you mentioned your personal life is complicated and adds to the stress. Can you share more about how that feels for you? Or when you say there's relationship and family stuff creating tension, what impact does that specific tension have on you day to day? This would have helped you gain a fuller picture of his stress sources and shown deeper empathy by focusing on the felt experience of these personal challenges rather than immediately shifting to problem solving. I think that's a mistake that a lot of therapists make, is we go too much to problem solving rather than, yeah, we should be more empathetic rather than, solve the problems. So validating feelings and mirroring is super important. All right, here's the transcript. Yep, you can see basically our literally entire conversation. Yeah, so this looks like, for example, this was a really good question because I got 3 greens: respectful, listening, feeling, reflections. But it looks like it wasn't as appropriate. So, and yeah, so like that was a bad one. But yeah, a lot of these, I think this was, you can check it out, our transcript. This is what the AI is analyzing. 77%. Okay. I don't think that's that bad. I think it's probably like average, right? I've done better in the past, but it's not too bad for our first try with Richard. Yeah, we had good appropriate delivery. So like, for example, tell me more. So yeah, the responses throughout the conversation lack clarity and professionalism, often using uniform repetitive language that seems to client. Oh, okay. So just like, it sounds like there's so much pressure. It was cluttered with filters that muddled the message. Yo, facts. I need to be more articulate and verbose. Okay. Yeah, this is it's true. Some stuff I say is a bit confusing. And yeah, let's if we ask it to give us examples. Issues of clarity. Yeah, same stuff. I see. Let's holds emotional space. Let's see what I should change with this one. Or give me some examples. Tell me more. Okay. But yeah, here's our evaluation checklist on what we should do better. So, awesome. We did great on pattern identifications. So, yeah, all these phrases were really good that we dropped. Like, I noticed you mentioned feeling isolated, not contributing at work. So this is a recurring theme for you. Yeah. Empathy was good. Use of humor. Yo, I always miss this one. Yeah, I gotta. This one's really hard for me to do. I feel like yeah. I think I'm just like too scared to throw it in there, but like, I want to get better at this one because I feel like I'm a pretty. Well, everyone thinks they're funny, but I think I'm hilarious in real life. So I should really work on this. Interpretations of prior experiences provide deeper insight. Let's yeah, tell me more about this skill, please. So I didn't really offer any deeper tentative insights that link the client's thoughts or feelings to underlying factors. For example, when the client described feeling constantly stressed and running on fumes, he reflected the feeling but didn't venture to explore what that would mean about his underlying fears or past experiences. Interpretation should be grounded directly in client statements without and use tentative language such as "I wonder if" to invite collaboration. Without such linking, the session missed the opportunity to help the client gain deeper insight into how these feelings might connect with deeper issues. Future sessions try to tie his current struggles to possible underlying emotions or past experiences. Yeah, I could have gone way deeper. Pause. But yeah, with a lot of my interpretations. Yeah. Shares relevant personal experiences. I think this was good. Immediacy. Okay. Confrontation. Yo, I'm always good at that one. Yeah, you should definitely, it's hard to stay consistent, but yeah. This is good stuff. And yeah, so we really got, let's go. We got MI. So this is we knew this was we know this was the theory that we wanted to use because we read that he had substance abuse, and he really has to do this change himself. It can't be like us doing this like in CBT or whatever. So yeah, acceptance, collaboration, compassion. Nice. Yes, and CBT. I'm sorry. In MI we use OARS. So, yep. Affirmations. Use technique open-ended, reflections, and summarizes. Ooh, I didn't do as many summarizing. Okay. And yeah, we need change talk. That's and sustain talk. That's good. Avoids advice giving. I low-key did give them like a lot of advice. I can't help it. I should take this. I should take advice, not give it out. But yeah, we did avoid a lot of judgmental and arguing. And yeah, we were engaged, focused, evoked, and planned out things well. All right, well, thanks everyone so far for for tuning into this episode of SimCare AI. Yeah, it's I think I had a lot of fun chatting with Richard, and I think I've really improved my skills as a therapist today. So yeah, please give it out a try. It's an awesome product, and yeah, Tim and the SimCare team signing off. See you guys.